Hello everyone, and welcome to this bonus video for Halo 2 Anniversary, where we take a look at all of the terminals that are in the game. They were very interesting in Halo 1. Interestingly, the Halo 1 terminal video is actually the second highest viewed video of that whole series. The highest viewed is obviously part 1, because it's always part 1 of any series. But yeah, apparently people are really into watching the lore of the terminals and watching people react to that, because that is the second highest viewed one. Also interesting is that the Halo 2 series is the exact same length as the Halo 1 series. They're both 14 parts plus a bonus terminal video. And the final part of Halo 2 was actually like shorter. It was like 25 minutes instead of the usual 35-ish. And that's interesting because Halo 2 is like an extra 5 levels, 2 of them were cutscenes, so really an extra 3 levels longer. So I guess the Halo 2 levels are shorter overall. Just some interesting things I noticed. I thought you might find that interesting too. Anyway, yes, let us jump in and see 30 minutes. 30 minutes of terminal cutscenes. Let's go. They were very good in Halo 1. I'm excited to have a lot more stuff go over my head. We'll see how much I can pick up on.
Pursuant to Office of ONI Retrieval and Acquisitions Inquiry of 26 September 2552. The following is a target profile of Thel Vadami, Supreme Commander of the Covenant Fleet of Particular Justice, compiled by Lieutenant Commander Locke.
Is that going to be the Arbiter?
Contact with Vadami came in 2535 on an unofficial human colony known as the Rubble. After-action reports from civilians, as well as Spartan Units 006, 111, and 120, suggest that Vadami was at that point a relatively minor functionary of the Prophet of Regret. Spartan 006 engaged Vadami in combat on the Rubble. Both parties survived the encounter. Shortly after 2535, the UNSC first encountered the newly formed Covenant Fleet of Particular Justice, now led by Vadami.
My dude got a promotion. Attaboy.
Review of early engagements with this fleet show that it quickly grew in size from 5 to nearly 60 ships, as Vadami cut a path through many human systems.
That'd be so scary seeing that many.
Made multiple attempts to anticipate or even track Vadami's movements.
That many ships coming through wormholes.
A number of operatives' lives. Vadami eluded all such efforts, and he continued his unpredictable and devastating campaign. Vadami also stands out from other Covenant commanders in the frequency in which he takes a personal role in ground assaults.
Interesting, he was leading from the front then.
Camber was a major manufacturing center for UNSC fleet materials with a population of 5.6 million. After discovering Camber's location, Vadami penetrated the early warning perimeter without alerting UNSC forces and began his ground and orbital attacks before most of the planet knew they were in danger.
It was Stealth Arbiter.
17 of his ships
I knew
bombed
it.
Key defensive positions. Vadami led a group of elites in a personal assault on UNSC System HQ.
I like the visual style they've got going on here.
One of the first units to engage Vadami was the 3rd Battalion Reserves, who were so unprepared for the arrival of the Covenant forces that Vadami found them unarmed and defenseless.
Rip.
In an unexpected display of what appears to be honor, Vadami allowed the 3rd to finish gearing up before engaging them in combat.
And then killed them
While
all?
we've had multiple reports of a strict system of honor and ritual behavior followed by the elites within the Covenant, this is the first recorded example of such honor being shown to human opponents, but even given the chance to defend themselves. 3rd Battalion losses were complete.
Yup. It's like, yeah, go on, gear up. Won't make a
Vadami
friggin'
continued
difference.
his campaign across many human systems, culminating in his most devastating blow against the UNSC at Reach.
Oh, I guess he's watching them on... I guess these are recorded from that waypoint thing? Okay.
Vadami's most recent and damaging blow to the UNSC was the fall of Reach. Oni has still not been able to fully determine how Vadami located the planet. And once again, he caught us completely by surprise when his forces arrived in orbit and on the ground. Vadami is responsible for over 1 billion total casualties and the loss of at least 7 human planets.
That's interesting. I didn't know we'd colonized that many.
Counterattacks at the cost of 123 fleet vessels and over 23,000 personnel. And now with Reach lost, Oni and UNSC strategic AI report a 0% confidence that the Navy can stop Vadami through traditional means.
A 0% confidence.
Investigator, Vadami is the most dangerous Covenant military asset on the field. It's common knowledge that the Covenant have a significant technological advantage over the UNSC, but are sometimes inflexible in their tactics. This is not the case for Vadami. We cannot predict what he'll do next, but given time, we fear he will dismantle all remaining UNSC strongholds. This agent's recommendation? Immediate termination. If humanity wants to survive this war, we cannot do it with Vadami on the field.
Interesting. So I guess that was recorded prior to the events of Halo 1 and 2, perhaps? Okay, so that's the original Halo getting destroyed. There's Guilty Spark escaping.
Quite unacceptable.
Escaping to this facility that we went to as the Arbiter, which I didn't realize at the time was like very, very nearby the ring.
Glorious day. The prophets will be pleased that we have rescued an oracle
The
from
heretic.
the humans' violation of the holy temple.
Why do you keep calling it a temple? My installation was a weapon, and one which we needed very, very badly.
But Oracle, I do not understand. We were told the rings are salvation, a gateway to paradise.
Told? By whom? Anyone who told you that is a fool, or quite mad. That installation was a beautiful tool, designed to destroy everything the Flood might feed on.
I don't think Truth is a fool.
Everything?
Oh, quite everything. And if even one Flood spore survived the destruction of my ring...
Communications. Shut down all lines to the fleet. We will not notify the prophets of our discovery until I hear everything this oracle has to say.
I will gladly share what I am permitted, but we have little time. What has been unleashed here could destroy everything you have ever known.
On that, Oracle, we are in agreement.
I love that this heretic was just like instantly ready to hear what he had to say. There was no like, no, you must be lying. He wasn't fanatical in his belief in the prophets. He was just like, wow, this thing's telling me that I'm wrong, therefore I'm wrong. Good that he was willing to listen.
Your actions do not make sense. Proper protocol for a flood outbreak is to establish immediate infection reporting. Communications must be maintained with all local forces in order to track any spread of the parasite.
There are no local forces, Oracle. For now, all you have is me.
But I tracked multiple ships in orbit, including some remaining human presence. In light of the danger posed by the Flood, surely you can set aside this disagreement with the humans and...
Yeah, just
Anything still alive in orbit is our enemy.
just set it
The
aside.
humans have very good cause to kill us on sight.
Like that would
And
happen.
The knowledge you've shared with me casts doubt on the entire purpose of our covenant. If any of our ships remain above us, they are not the help you seek.
But why would they not provide assistance? Because of this talk of prophecies and journeys? I learned a small amount about your covenant before that reclaimer blew up my installation. But my understanding is incomplete. The AI I encountered on board one of your ships was less than forthcoming.
What you need to know, Oracle, is that thousands of years ago, At the founding of our great covenant, a bargain was struck between the prophets and the elites. A bargain which I fear will be the end of us.
Interesting. A bargain that will be the end of us. Oh, look at that. That's very pretty.
Regarding the history of the Covenant and its glorious founding species, the Sanshayum and Sanghili, the record of punished deeds would not be sufficient without a word on the Arbiter. Not the consignment of shame that it is currently, but what came before. The legendary warriors of Sanghili past.
Sanghili is the like covenant name for
Long
elites,
before
right?
the Covenant, the Sanghili ruled their world with pride and vigilance, surviving the perils of both land and sea.
Or I guess just a normal name, and we've then called them the elites, but
These were the
that's their
arbiters
own
of
name
old.
for themselves.
Part king, part judge, warrior rulers, unlike any of which would follow. When we arrived on their frontier world of Ulgathon, the cost of life was severe. Led by a mighty arbiter, the Sanghili resisted our entreatment with ruthless force, leading to decades of war.
Interesting. So they were using the Forerunner ship to travel around before the Covenant actually got started. So the prophets were already like devoted to the Forerunners, I guess.
We would eventually triumph, of course. And when we did, we would not ignore the mantle of the Arbiter. Like all things, we would bend the Sanghili to our own ends. The Arbiters would become the very will of the Prophets.
Interesting. So they just like co-opted their like leadership role into for their own needs and used them to control the rest of the race, I guess.
For generations, our holy arrangement put the prophets in charge of religion and technology. The elites led our military forces to convert new species and find relics such as your halo.
And these relics you sought, the Sanshayum, your prophets, told you that they would lead you on this great journey?
Yes, transcendence, eternal life. Their promises were endless. We gave up our old ways to follow the Prophet's lead on the great journey.
Well, that was a mistake.
Gave up all of our history, all of our traditions.
Not all of your traditions.
I wonder
it
why.
seems. This Arbiter you mentioned, hasn't that always been a position of power for your species?
The prophets must be incredibly
Power.
freaking convincing.
It was long ago. An Arbiter was once the pinnacle of our people, leader of the clans, and master of the battlefield. But then, an Arbiter committed heresy, and an example was made of him.
Heresy?
He challenged the word of the prophets. Challenged and lost.
Whoops. What, was that a hunter?
So the title of Arbiter became a badge of shame for our most spectacularly failed warriors.
Well, that
Yes.
sucks.
They were accomplished manipulators. Back before the firing of the array. I see at least that hasn't changed.
Manipulators? What?
The prophets were around before.
Before when?
I will explain later. Right now, I want you to tell me everything you can of these Arbiters.
That's interesting. How were the prophets around before the array was fired?
Our holy city was not always as it is, nor was the Covenant. At one time, it was only Sanshayum and Sanghili, but as we grew, and new species were added to our number. Radical steps had to be taken. Our first encounter with
What is that?
was an effort in futility.
Was that an elite? That looked cool. That looked different to normal.
The blasphemous creatures had devoured a Forerunner orbital, shattering its remains into 1 trillion pieces. What was left became the Rings of Tay. As no conventional methods could purge the rings of their infestation, we sent one of our most faithful, an Arbiter.
Oh, it's like a
For a
spacesuit
full year,
for
this
elites?
Arbiter ventured across the surface of one of their moons, learning both their strengths and their weaknesses. It was there that we discovered the Lek Golo's secret. Although some of their kind rightly bore the blame for the orbital's desecration, others had only devoured around the Forerunner materials.
That's cool.
And with reasoning and much labor, these could be used to serve the Covenant.
That is very cool that they actually showed that being, like,
And by these means,
formed.
the great Arbiter had given us one of our most sought-after treasures. Access to innumerable processing pathways of the mighty Forerunner Dreadnought, and to the many secrets it held.
That is very cool. I wondered, like, the hunters are supposedly built up of these worms, but, like, how does that actually work? And then actually seeing that, like, come from the ground up there, that was very neat to actually see.
It is most unusual that in all the exploits of these Arbiters, you never mention their role in choosing their missions of redemption.
There is no role, Oracle. Once one of our commanders becomes an Arbiter, he belongs to the Hierarchs.
These Hierarchs, they are the same High Prophets who control all the holy relics you collect from my time?
The same.
And they use these relics to build your new weapons and bring you the word of your gods?
It has always been so.
Interesting. Am I a holy relic?
I do not understand.
Because I am certainly not a god. I am a tool, as is this mining platform you stand upon, as was the installation that once orbited the planet. The Forerunner's technology is lasting and indeed quite powerful, but I'm quite certain they would have told me if I was infused with some kind of divine power.
You reckon?
I suspect some of your prophets may have been quite aware of how much divine inspiration tools such as myself could provide. And you never questioned these proclamations. Even your mightiest warriors, these Arbiters, never questioned?
Questioning was what brought shame to the word Arbiter long ago, Oracle.
How disappointing.
I fear now that there are many questions we should have been asking for a long time.
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to answer any such questions, but I have a few more for you. Continue your tale of these Arbiters.
Man, this is cool. I feel like there's less in the way of, like, straight up huge revelations here and more filling in of backstory. It seems like that's what this set of terminals is more focused on, which is cool. And I'm liking the backstory. It means there's sort of less for me to react to
into the Covenant
specifically.
by faith or mutual beneficence. The Ungoi were not such.
Because it's all...
Their kind
It's
was
not like
brought
big
into the
twists
fold
kind
by
of thing,
force,
or
and it was by
revelations.
force that they were held captive.
But it's very interesting.
Their world had no prayer against our might and majesty. And their peoples were quickly laid low, many of them brought into subjugation.
So the grunts just didn't stand a chance, basically. They were just like, okay,
Yet
well,
while some
join or
species
die.
would perish under such pressure, others rise to the occasion, taking arms if need be, fighting back.
Oh, they already had the
Such
jackals
it
at
was
this
for
point.
the Ungoi when their feud with the Kigyar led to rebellion. An effort by the Kigyar to sterilize the Ungoi population was met with stiff resistance, and for a time, the holy city was thrown into chaos. Once fully provoked, The Ungoi were merciless in their violence, lashing out at all species. Their large numbers and their tenacious volatility made them a suitable challenge, even for the elites.
You guys have mentioned the
And
Grunt
yet
Rebellion
again,
in the comments.
We turned to an arbiter.
It's cool to actually witness it.
And with a ferocity unparalleled since the beginning of the Covenant, the Ungoi world would be reduced to glass. Those within the Holy City would be forced to watch, unable to stop what could have been the very end of their kind. The Ungoi rebellion was brought to an end by the Arbiter's hand.
Man, it's just weird seeing grunts like that. They look very strange.
Their world was not completely lost, and those who survived within high charity found some measure of mercy. They had proven their worth in combat, and would now serve alongside the Sangheili in battle.
And then they joined up with the elite, so there was always like 10 grunts per elite, it seems.
I'm starting to fear that you're not very smart.
Mind your tongue, Oracle.
Oh,
Got
I
him.
mean no offense. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your species.
Oh, well, that's
Have
okay
these
then.
prophets been anointing arbiters?
Since the fall of Falchavami, the first disgraced arbiter, roughly 400 years ago,
Incredible! And in all this time, it never occurred to you how convenient it was that your prophets were able to find a powerful, capable leader among your people, who happened to suddenly commit a terrible blasphemy every time the power structure of your covenant was threatened.
I do not understand.
Wow.
You do little to dissuade my fears.
Then teach me.
They just brand.
Looking back at the record of the arbiters you've discussed, was it not surprising to anyone that those chosen to become arbiter were more than simple warriors?
Whoever was rising to
Each
the
of them
top,
had
I guess.
significant political influence among your people. In some cases, that influence was already being used to question the decisions of your hierarchs. In fact, that very questioning often gave rise to the charges of heresy that so neatly removed the challenger from the hierarch's concern.
Once they were branded arbiter,
They promptly and quite cheerfully ran to meet their deaths.
Wow. Wow, these fucking prophets, man.
all our lives we look down at the path, put our feet where the prophets tell us. All our lives spent convincing ourselves of the truth
Oh,
of
that's
our
the room
covenant.
that's the room we fought in, right?
All of it truly have been wasted.
Let's hope not all of it, for we have a great deal of work to do. The flood is still out there, so I require a cooperative reclaimer to enact proper containment procedures. But your covenants keep trying to kill all the reclaimers I can find. All this bickering is quite a deadly waste of time.
So
Right now, the most important question we can ask is this. Who could break this hold the prophets have over you?
So the Covenant aren't reclaimers. It's only humans that are reclaimers? Because he definitely called Must Chief Reclaimer a few times, but I thought he was just looking for a species, like, in general. I didn't think it had to specifically be humans, so...
The history of the Arbiter is one of both legend and infamy. Their name has been corrupted by great shame, though the contemporary is perhaps the most confounding of all. Thel Vadami was born of noble blood, the legendary House of Vada. His family's renown demanded great expectations for his military career, and he would meet them all.
Training? We're getting a training montage of the Arbiter? Attaboy. That's cool.
One of the youngest to achieve the status of shipmaster, and one of the youngest to gain the rate of supreme commander. In our campaign against the humans, few have risen to renown as Vadami. World after human world, all laid low for the sake of the great journey. But then came Halo. Shame unto shame. He failed his greatest charge, and the sacred ring was desecrated. By such disgrace, Thelvadimi became the Arbiter. As a mere scribe, I do not challenge the word of the Hierarchs, but I would be remiss not to voice concern. This Sanghili should have been put down, publicly slain as an example to all of our prayerful expediency.
Huh. He is not a fan that the Arbiter got to live.
With the discovery of a second ring and the changing of the guard, all things are in jeopardy. Will this Arbiter remain loyal? Or will he stand with his people as they are abolished by our newfound might? I would never openly challenge the divine proclamations of a hierarch, but this Arbiter is a risk I would not have tolerated. And I now fear the days of the Covenant are numbered.
Huh. This dude had seemed a lot smarter than the actual hierarchs themselves, potentially. Because he was right, the Arbiter turned against them. It seems like he would have been in a better position. Obviously, glad that the Arbiter wasn't killed, but it seems like...
The only one I would trust with this information is probably dead right now. He was commander of the fleet that brought me to the system. Thelvadimi was his name. But after hearing you tell of the destruction of the ring, I cannot believe that he still lives.
So they had prior history.
His orders were to secure the ring, to prepare it for the arrival of the Hierarchs. Vadimi never fails in his duties. If the ring is no more, then Vadimi must be dead.
Duty can indeed be a dangerous virtue. But even if he did live, wouldn't this sense of duty make him quite unlikely to set aside his allegiance to the Prophets?
Perhaps not. And he would never betray our people. No, if we were able to just speak to him, explain everything you have told me. But no, these are futile hopes. If he did live, and if he was returned to the High Prophets, they would most certainly punish him for the destruction of the ring. In fact, he would be the exact kind of leader the Hierarchs would make Arbiter. They would need someone to blame for the loss of the ring. His influence within the fleet grew with every one of his victories over the humans.
And if he did become Arbiter?
Then he would be lost to our cause. Without the knowledge you've shared with me, he would obey the Prophets without question.
But you had the opportunity to give him the knowledge, my dude.
Even respond to his former name. I don't know what it would take to overcome, but as you say, we don't have time to ask such questions, and Vadimi is almost certainly dead.
If all your hopes rest on him, then I fear for the future of this galaxy.
He sounds so hopeful there that he could get the Arbiter on side.
But I will begin our fight. Make others aware of the lies the Prophets whisper in our ears. And soon, we will find more who will take up our cause.
He sounds so hopeful he can get the Arbiter on side there and is talking about getting him to be told the same things that the Oracle was telling him. And then he's not actually... He just shoots him when he gets the opportunity. You moron! Proper moron vibes.
Activate the Kindler. Make haste. We have little time. It has been found, Commander. Very well. Mark the coordinates and proceed with caution.
What are they searching for?
It has been under their noses all this time. Humans are foul animals. They lack the intellect and the purity to discern the ways of gods. Prepare the luminary for retrieval. The Hierarch will reward us for our devotion.
Well done, Commander. Do you know what you found?
A luminary hierarch. A divine instrument.
It is more than that, Commander. This is the one spoken of in the prophecies. It lights the sacred path.
It lights the sacred path. A luminary.
Stewards, good news, I pray?
It was not easy, Blessed One. The luminary was not forthcoming with the holy words, but our hope proved true.
The sacred rings. Halo.
And not Halo alone, High Prophet. It also told of this. The final home of the Forerunners, and the creation of the sacred rings. The Ark.
By the gods. It is glorious. The stories were true. Where did the gods hide such a treasure?
It lies far beyond the borders of our galaxy, accessible only by way of portal. The one portal the Luminary spoke of was here. The Forerunners called it Erde Tyrene.
Our calling is clear. We must go there at once. We will take the ships in our command and go to this world immediately. This Erde Tyrene. Take heed, brothers. Your work signals the culmination of our Covenant's holy quest.
Is that Earth?
Hold fast. The great journey is at hand.
And that's the end of the video, so let's pause it there before any thumbnails come up. I am watching this on a private browser, so the thumbnails, my recommendations won't get screwed by this time, so that's good. Man, my laptop is really going at it with the fans. Let me move that slightly further away so we can talk, and hopefully it won't sound too overpowering on the mic. Yeah, okay, so that was a lot of backstory in those terminals. It seemed like Halo 1 terminals, it was backstory in Halo 1 terminals as well, but it was more like big lore reveals kind of thing. And it felt like there was more, like, that was going straight over my head in the Halo 1 ones, because it was a lot more about the Forerunners themselves and that kind of thing. Whereas these were about the Covenant and the backstory of the Covenant, how they got started, filling in gaps with like the Heretic and Thelvadamy's past, the Arbiter, and yeah, it was very interesting to see like how it all got formed, how it got started, the way the Prophets sort of manipulated things to serve their own agendas. That was very cool. I liked that a lot. In terms of lore things, that final one, so they found what they called a luminary, which seemed to show them like a map of the universe kind of thing, and it was showing them all the halos, and it showed them the location of the Ark, which is what 343 said at the end of Halo 2. The Ark was where you activate all the rings at once. Like, you don't have to be on a ring specifically, you can just do it remotely from the Ark. So yeah, that's outside the galaxy, but there's a portal to it on Erde, I can't remember, Erde Tyrene or something, which I'm assuming is Earth, because that was the Prophet of Regret. It says there in the terminal notes there on screen. It says that was the Prophet of Regret, so that would explain why he was there at the start of Halo 2. And they didn't know that the humans were going to be there. They were just like, hey, there's a portal to the Ark there, I'm gonna go get that shit right now. And obviously that didn't turn out so well for them. And then they had to portal out, and I guess they did know at that point that where the other Halos were, so I guess he just randomly picked another Halo to jump to, I suppose, and then we followed in their wake. And obviously what followed was everything that we played in the latter half of Halo 2. So that was cool. So now Truth is returning to Earth. So I guess he's yeah, because he wants to get to the Ark, I suppose, as well. So I guess he is going to be trying to get into that portal. Don't know. I wonder why. I feel there must be a reason for the portal being on Earth. I hope that's not just a coincidence. But so far, it hasn't seemed like there's been any coincidence. Anything I've thought was a coincidence so far, you guys have been like, nah, don't worry. Not just a coincidence. There's reasons for these things. So that's good. That's good. It seems fairly well thought out. I really like these terminals, man. They're good. It's sad that they are not videos anymore. It's like text after this, I believe. But looking forward to reading the text ones nonetheless. And yeah, I think that's mostly everything that I was trying to keep in mind to think about. It's a lot to take in, obviously, like 30 minutes of straight info. But I think that is the important parts of it. I think I did manage to understand a lot more of this one than I did the Halo 1 ones, which is good. So, there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Next time we will be jumping into Halo 3 and seeing what we're going to be doing there. I guess it's going to be starting on Earth, most likely, because that is where we were literally arriving at the end of Halo 2 when it cliffhangered us. So that'll be interesting to see. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed. If you have, if you could leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share the videos around, share the playlist around if you can. I would really appreciate that. And if you really like what I do, there is a Patreon link in the description. Anything you could send my way would be hugely appreciated and help keep the channel running, keep these games coming for you. That would be amazing. And yeah, I will see you next time for Halo 3. See you then.